So I've been wanting to test ride one of these electric pedal assist bikes for so long, probably for a few years, and they just keep getting better and better. This one's by Trek, and it has Bosch components. I love Bosch quality parts. And this one says max 250 watts, 20 mile per hour. Now that's kind of important. I found out after doing like a 35-mile ride on this thing that 250 watts was not quite enough for me, but it does give you really decent power just going from like 0 to 15 miles per hour. You just zip right up to speed. So I'm kind of just going through and showing some of the components here. It has a few different modes that you can go on, and when you're actually riding, or if you wait a second, it'll give you an approximation of how many miles you have left. And as you go lower power in the modes, you'll see that you have more mileage that the battery will assist you with. Of course, if the battery runs out, you can just ride it like a regular bicycle. Works just fine. It's not too much heavier than say, you know, a normal bike like this, that if you bought a cheaper one at Walmart that's steel, you know, this is a little bit nicer than that. But anyways, you can turn it on by pressing the battery. You can turn it on up there, and it does have a little water bottle mount there, but you can't really fit a full-size water bottle on. I found out disc brakes, which is really nice, even though for, you know, a bike like this where you're just cruising on the streets, you don't really need that much stopping power. But I suppose as a commuter and going in the city, this bike would be perfect. So a single chainring on front and only 9 speeds, and I was a little disappointed with the gear ratios there. Going uphill, plenty of power. It's just that when you're in 9th gear and you want to go faster than say 20, you got to pedal quite a bit, you know, a little faster than I normally like to. I like to have more than 9 gears, or that ratio to be better. So here I am. I went on a bike ride with a couple family members that were riding like top of the line road bikes. You know, they don't have pedal assist, I do, and I was totally able to keep up with them for the 35 miles on one battery charge, even surpass them. It was awesome because on the hills I just cruised right by like this.
Yeah, buddy.
He's laughing there. Which was so easy. When you're at lower speeds, like below 15 miles per hour, this thing just zips you right up to speed. And even going up the hills, you look how fast I'm pedaling. It's just like hardly any work at all. I'm just barely moving my legs. Now, when we started going flat or downhill, like when you're going flat, a standard road bike can just cruise 20, 25 miles an hour, no problem for these guys. And so they would just take off. And especially going downhill, there's much more efficient in terms of wind resistance and everything, and so they would surpass me and just go way ahead. But then when we came to the next hill, usually I would catch up. So I would say, you know, you really, if you want to get one of these for commuting, you have to figure in that this thing is really optimized for like 20 miles per hour, 15 to 20. So if you have a 15-mile commute, it's probably going to take you an hour to get there on this thing, okay? This thing's not just going to zip you there like in a car and get you there in 15 minutes just because it has a battery on it. So here in this part of the video, I'm kind of just experimenting and showing and kind of testing out what kind of torque and how fast I have to pedal on the different gears while I'm going up this hill. It's really hard on videos, you know, to tell if you're going uphill or downhill. You don't get the full... you know, it's hard to tell how steep the hill is, but this is a fairly steep hill, I would say. Riding on a regular bike right now, see I'm going 7 miles per hour. I'd probably be going like 3 or 4 miles an hour, having to pedal pretty good, but here I'm just like barely pedaling, and the battery's doing most of the work to get me up the hill. So as far as range goes, I mean, I made it the full 35 miles. It had a lot of steep hills, it had a lot of downhill, and it took us probably, it was like 2.5 hours of riding. And look how I'm pedaling here, just barely pushing on it. And going 3 miles an hour, but I'm in one of the lower gears. And basically all I have to do is balance and make sure my legs are moving, then this thing will kind of take me right up the hill. Now, the thing about these pedelec bikes, which is what they call them, you know, in Europe, pedal assist in the US, is that it actually gets kind of addicting um, having that assist on. And when it cuts out after 20 miles per hour, or when you stop pedaling and you start to slow down right away, you want to just get back on it and start pedaling again, getting your feet rolling, get up to speed again. It's just something about it, how, you know, it gives you that little zip